Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the top 5 easiest vegetables to grow. If you're really looking to start your own vegetable garden and you want to know which vegetables are really easy to grow so you have a successful garden, then this video is for you. If you're new here, welcome. I'm a professional horticulturist and I make videos about all things horticulture. Let's go ahead and dive into the list. No, 5 is going to be leafy greens. Leafy greens include things like lettuce, spinach, arugula, kale, Swiss chard and others. Leafy greens are fantastic because they grow really quickly, so you can get a lot of harvests off of them. They're super nutritious, and there's just a huge array of different leafy greens to choose from. All of them are really easy to grow and they don't take up a ton of space. You can put them in small containers. So even if you don't have a backyard, you can grow leafy greens on a balcony or on a patio. And most leafy greens are ready to harvest in about 30 days. And depending on the type of leafy green, you may even be able to harvest them in 2 weeks. Number 4 is going to be herbs. Herbs are one of my favorite things to grow, and they're really easy to grow. My favorite herbs to grow are basil, mint, parsley, dill, and chives. They grow super easily. And again, kind of like the leafy greens, they don't take up a ton of space. You can grow them in containers. You can grow them in raised beds. You can grow them in the ground. And they add incredible flavor to your meals. And even if you don't cook, you probably use herbs in other ways, maybe in teas or in cocktails or in other things. Herbs are also really easy to propagate. So if you already have one plant, you can usually just take cuttings and stick them in water or stick them in soil, and you'll have more of that plant. One thing to note about growing herbs is that some of them can be invasive, especially mint. Mint grows like crazy. So if you don't contain it, it can spread everywhere. But it is so easy to just put in a container and keep it contained so that it doesn't take over your whole garden. No. 3 is radishes and other root vegetables. Radishes are a root vegetable and they're incredibly easy to grow. You can plant them right along with your leafy greens because they grow so quickly. You can harvest radishes in about a month. And if you leave them in the ground, they'll keep growing and they'll get larger. But radishes are really easy to grow and they're really kind of fun to grow because you can see the roots growing underneath the soil. Other root vegetables that are really easy to grow are carrots. Carrots are incredibly easy to grow. They do best in loose, well-draining soil. So if you have heavy clay soil like I have, you may need to amend your soil with some compost or other organic matter to help them grow well. But carrots grow really easily. Potatoes are another root vegetable that are really easy to grow. You just plant a potato, a little bitty seed potato, and then you hill soil around it, and it grows like crazy. And tomatoes are technically a fruit, but they're often treated as a vegetable and they're super easy to grow. You can grow them in containers. They grow like crazy and they produce so much food. No, 2 is going to be peppers. Peppers are really easy to grow. They love heat and they love a long, warm season. So, if you live in a hot climate, peppers are going to grow really well for you. If you live in a cooler climate, you can still grow peppers. You just may need to start them indoors earlier in the spring or grow them in a greenhouse or something similar. Peppers are so easy to grow. Once they get going, they produce so much food, and there's a huge variety of different types of peppers to grow. Everything from sweet bell peppers to jalapenos to habaneros. If you're looking for something spicy, there's a lot of different options for you. And no, one is going to be zucchini and other summer squash. Summer squash includes zucchini, yellow squash, patty pan squash, and these are some of the easiest plants to grow. You can grow them in containers, in raised beds, in the ground. They grow like crazy. They produce so much food. And if you have a lot of people in your family, or if you like to preserve your food through canning, freezing, dehydrating, then these are some of the easiest plants to grow. They grow so easily that sometimes they can be a little bit invasive. So, if you only want a couple of them, you may want to consider putting them in a container. And one plant will take up a lot of space. It may take up a 5-gallon bucket or something similar. But they grow like crazy, and they produce so much food. So if you like zucchini bread, if you like stuffed zucchini, if you like to just eat zucchini raw or sautéed, then definitely try growing zucchini. Now, the question becomes, why shouldn't I grow certain plants? Well, there's a lot of plants that are pretty difficult for new gardeners. Plants like orchids and ferns and cauliflower and celery and eggplant. Those plants are really finicky about the conditions that they like to grow in. They want specific things, and they don't want anything fluctuating. They don't want the temperature to fluctuate too much. They don't want the light to fluctuate too much. They don't want the watering to fluctuate too much. And if you're a new gardener and you're trying to learn, sometimes those fluctuations happen, and that makes it a little bit harder to grow those types of plants. They also tend to be a little bit more susceptible to pests and diseases, which can make it hard. Because then you have to worry about treating for pests and diseases and making sure that you're doing the right thing so you don't kill your plant. Sometimes it is easier to just start with something that is really easy to grow so you can get a feel for gardening. And then you can work your way up to more difficult plants as you gain experience. The next question is, how do I choose which plants, windows, or structures are best for me? Well, you want to consider a few things before you make your final decision. First, you want to consider your climate. Like I mentioned before, you want to know what the average temperatures are in your area, what the typical amount of precipitation is, and what the amount of sunlight is in your area. You also want to know if you're going to be starting these plants from seed, or if you're going to be buying them as starter plants. Because if you're buying them as starter plants, you can get a wide variety of different things. If you're starting from seed, you may want to start with something that starts really easily from seed, like basil or parsley or something like that. And lastly, you want to consider if you're going to be putting these plants in the ground, in a raised bed, or in a container. If you're going to be putting them in containers, you may want to choose something that grows really easily in a container, like peppers or tomatoes or zucchini. And if you're going to be putting them in the ground, you may have more flexibility with what you choose. I hope this video has been helpful for you. I hope you feel more confident choosing which plants to grow in your area. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have questions about what to grow in your area, leave a comment below and I'll try to answer as many comments as possible. And if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.